John Wayne Gacy, a man born in Chicago, Illinois, on March 17, 1942. He was born into a family with an abusive father that beat him and his siblings. Throughout Gacy's childhood, he strove to make his father proud of him, but he rarely ever did. This friction was constant throughout his childhood. At the age of 4, his father beat him for only rearranging car parts that his father had assembled. Another time, when he was 6 years old, Gacy stole a toy truck from a neighborhood store. His mother made him walk back to the store, return the toy, and apologize to the owners. His mother told his father. Then his father beat Gacy with a belt as punishment. As this was happening, Gacy's mother attempted to shield her son from his father's verbal and physical abuse. Yet only this made Gacy's father accuse him of being a sissy or a mama's boy. Gacy had a heart condition. This made him have to avoid all sports. Having few friends, he was often targeted and bullied by neighborhood children and classmates. During the 4th grade, Gacy began to experience blackouts. He was occasionally hospitalized because of these seizures. Later, he estimated that he spent almost a year in the hospital from these episodes, between the ages of 14 and 18. His grades began to decline because of his time out of school. His father suspected these episodes were an effort to gain sympathy and attention. On one occasion, his father openly accused his son of faking as the boy laid in the hospital bed. Even though he did not graduate from high school, Gacy successfully enrolled into Northwestern Business College, from which he graduated in 1963. Gacy's first murder dates back to January 2nd, 1972, when he killed a 15-year-old boy by the name of Jack McCoy. Gacy was driving past the Chicago bus station when McCoy first caught his eye. McCoy was traveling from Michigan to Omaha, but was required to stay the night in Chicago due to the departure time of the next bus. Gacy lured McCoy in by asking to join him in a sightseeing tour around the city. Gacy promised that McCoy could spend the night at his house. Early the next morning, McCoy was making breakfast for the two of them, to show how thankful he was for letting him stay the night. McCoy had a kitchen knife in his hand when he woke Gacy to surprise him that he was making breakfast. However, Gacy did not realize this until after he brutally murdered McCoy. Gacy told police that he wrestled the knife out of McCoy's hands by slamming his head against one of the bathroom doors. Once Gacy managed to obtain the knife, he stabbed McCoy in the chest several times until he stopped breathing. After murdering McCoy, Gacy proceeded to cover the child in concrete and bury him under the crawlspace in his home. Tim McCoy was the first of many victims. John Gacy had 33 victims, all from January 3, 1972 to December 11, 1978. He would either rape or torture the victim before killing them. He only killed teenagers or young men. After many accounts of sexual assault, Gacy was put under a 24-hour surveillance by police officers. Gacy realized this, and he invited some of the officers into his home. The officers discovered a strange smell coming from the heating ventilations, and when they checked under the house, they found over 20 bodies under the house. On December 21, 1978, Gacy was arrested. He was found guilty in 1980. He was given multiple life sentences and the death penalty. Thankfully, today he is not alive. He was put to death by lethal injection. He also was not associated with anyone else.
Nuts in general. Catch his sense of humor.
Shoelaces, huh? You're in trouble now.
Yeah, right.
Aren't you afraid sitting that close to me? What the hell? Oh, this is too long. Right, you don't need it this long. Okay. I had a rosary, which I carried in my pocket. I've always carried a rosary. It was my communion rosary. They said, well, what kind of a knot do you use? I said, what do you mean knot? When I tie things up? I says, depending on what I'm using it for, I said, the only thing I ever learned from Boy Scouts is a tourniquet knot. He said, well, show us what that is. So I took, at that time, and again, it's together, but in order to demonstrate it here, I took the rosary and I said, well, here, you put it around. This is hard trying to do this. Why don't you put your hand out? Okay, here. What I told him, I said, here, all you do is you wrap it around, you put one knot in it. And I said, then you put a second knot in it. Okay? I said, then you take a stick and stick it in here, and you just turn this. And I said, it causes a tourniquet. I said, that's the only knot I ever learned.
Precisely the kind of knot found on the ropes wrapped around the necks of the victims found under the house on Summerdale.